I was aware of the origins of the hands sign, but a lot of people are not. Can you briefly explain how that came about?
Well, as briefly as possible, it goes like this. When I grew up in an Orthodox Jewish family in Boston, I went to high holiday services with my family, and in the Orthodox synagogue you sit the men and women separately. I was with my grandfather, father, and brother, and there comes a point in the service where the Kohanim, the priests of the Hebrew tribes, bless the congregation. And the blessing they say is from the Old and New Testament. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord turn his countenance unto you and grant you peace, and so forth. And when they do that, these gentlemen, with both hands extended towards the congregation, they form this double V that you've seen in the Vulcan symbol. And it's an extremely theatrical, impressive moment. And as a little kid, seeing this, I was awed by it. My father said, "Don't look." And that made it even more interesting. I thought, well, why not? And I learned later that at that moment, the essence of God is believed to enter the sanctuary to bless the congregation. And you must not look because it's just too powerful, too awesome for a human being to look at. In any case, I saw that, and I learned how to do it. I had no idea really what it was or what it meant. They do that because the hand, this is one of the reasons that I've been told, the hand in that shape represents the letter Shin of the Hebrew alphabet, which is the first letter in the word Shaddai, which is the name of the Almighty. And so they're using the symbol of the Almighty's name to bless the congregation. It's a tradition. And I learned it. And then one day when we were doing this episode where we go to Vulcan, to Spock's home planet, because Spock has to be married to a young lady he's been betrothed to since childhood, I introduced it into the scene. And I thought, as a greeting, when in the Theodore Sturgeon script, so beautifully written, where he had us saying the words "live long and prosper" for the first time, I introduced that gesture as a Vulcan gesture.
And did they immediately accept that?
They did, yeah. I don't think many people on the set, if anybody, knew what it was, but there was no discussion about that. It just seemed very appropriate. I said, I'd like to do this. I think it'll add some magic to the Vulcan culture, and that's the way it entered Star Trek.
When that episode aired, did you get any response from Jewish groups? Did they recognize it?
Some. It took a while for it to resonate out there. I think Jewish groups didn't realize that I was Jewish and probably didn't know that I knew what the origins of it were. They probably thought, well, he just stumbled upon this somewhere, you know. But more and more, when Jewish groups and Jewish people began to understand where I got it from, I got a more open response about it.
And they don't mind the fact that it will be used in that respect?
Not at all. It's kind of an extension of the tradition. It's a blessing. Why not?
You write in the book that it is not easy to do the Vulcan hands.
It is
sign.
easy for me. It's not easy for everybody.
Right, not for everybody. But,
yeah.
And William Shatner had trouble.
He did.
What did you do
had to do it in Star Trek 3. Had to do it in a scene where he comes to get McCoy out of a hospital jail cell in order to round up the troops to go help Spock, who they now believe can be resuscitated. And in showing McCoy the hand gesture, he's supposed to do the Vulcan hand symbol like Spock does. And Bill has trouble with it. The fingers won't fall into place. So we helped him with various things like two-faced tape between his fingers and fishing line to tie his fingers together in the appropriate design.
You mentioned in the book that that when you were first doing Spock, that you got his facial expressions from Harry Belafonte.
Yeah, I learned a big lesson from Mr. Belafonte. I've never met the man. I'd love to someday. I saw him at a concert at the peak of his popularity. I think it was in the early '60s. He was doing a performance at the Greek Theater in Los Angeles, a very large amphitheater, 8,000 to 10,000 seats, packed with great expectation, and he made an entrance that was very dramatic. He was led by a hot white spotlight, standing dead still, center stage as he sang. Without moving a muscle, he had his hands on his thighs. And he created a sort of a quietude around himself with that posture. And then eventually, after some long period of time, it seemed forever, he very slowly raised one arm out to the side as he sang. And the motion, the move, was gigantic because it came from such a stillness. And I realized that the economy that he had created, the economy of movement that he had created, made that one small move very, very powerful. And eventually I learned that from a very quiet place, a quiet face, a raised eyebrow could be very effective.
Is that tough to do, to raise one eyebrow?
It comes naturally to me. It's tough for some people.
Can you do each one singly?
No, I can only do it with the right eyebrow or both. I cannot do the left alone.